There are moments in life when everything changes without warning. A door you prayed would open suddenly closes, a relationship ends, an opportunity disappears, a dream collapses in front of your eyes, and in that painful silence your heart whispers one question: why would Allah take this away from me? But what if the closed door is not a punishment? What if it is protection? What if Allah is saving you from a path that would have destroyed your peace, weakened your faith, or pulled you away from Him? Sometimes we cry over doors that Allah closed out of mercy. You see, we only see the moment. Allah sees the future. We see the pain of today. Allah sees the danger of tomorrow. We become attached to things because they make us feel secure. But Allah knows what is hidden behind every road. He knows which people will break your heart. He knows which success would make you arrogant. He knows which blessings would slowly distance you from Him. And because He loves you, He closes certain doors, not to break you, but to protect you. There are people crying today because they lost something they desperately wanted. But years later, they look back and say, Alhamdulillah, Allah did not give me what I asked for, because now they understand the rejection protected them, the delay purified them. The heartbreak strengthened them. The closed door redirected them. Allah never removes something without wisdom. Sometimes He closes a door because you are knocking on the wrong one for too long. You are begging for something temporary, while Allah wants to give you something eternal. You are chasing people while Allah wants your heart attached only to Him, and this is why pain can become a mercy, because pain wakes the heart up. Many people remember Allah deeply only after life disappoints them. When every worldly support disappears, they finally realize that Allah was always enough. The closed door becomes the reason they return to prayer. The loss becomes the reason they reconnect with the Quran. The hardship becomes the reason their heart softens again. And suddenly, what looked like destruction was actually guidance. Do not think Allah has abandoned you because life became difficult. The strongest believers were tested the most. Sometimes Allah removes your plans because His plans are greater. Sometimes He empties your hands so He can place something better in them. But first you must learn trust, real trust, not trust when everything makes sense. Real trust is when the tears fall, the answers do not come, and you still say, Ya Allah, I know you are guiding me even now. That is faith. Anyone can worship Allah when life is easy, but the believer shines when life becomes heavy. When the world closes every door, the believer remembers that Allah can create doors where none exist. One moment can change everything. One dua can change everything. One decree from Allah can transform your entire life overnight. So never lose hope. Maybe the door closed because your story is not over yet. Maybe Allah is preparing you for something your current version is not ready to handle. Maybe the waiting is building your character. Maybe the loneliness is teaching you dependence on Allah. Maybe the delay is increasing your reward. Remember this: Allah is not late. Allah is not unfair. Allah is not ignoring your pain. He is Al-Hakim, the most wise. And even when you cannot understand His decisions, you can trust His heart towards you. A mother may love her child deeply, but Allah's mercy is greater than that love. So if He takes something away, know that He does not take without purpose. The problem is that we often judge Allah's plan too early. We stand in the middle of the story and decide it is bad, not realizing the ending has not arrived yet. Prophet Yusuf was thrown into a well before he reached the palace. Sometimes the road to your greatest blessing begins with a painful loss. So stop asking only, why did this door close? Ask instead, what is Allah teaching me through this? What part of my heart needs to grow? How can this hardship bring me closer to Him? Because the believer understands something powerful. If a door closes by Allah's will, then another door can open only by Allah's mercy. And when Allah opens a door for you, no human being can close it. No jealousy can stop it. No delay can prevent it. No weakness can destroy it. What Allah has written for you will reach you. So breathe through the pain. Pray through the confusion, trust through the silence, and never think your life is over because one door closed. Perhaps that closed door was the very thing standing between you and the mercy of Allah. There are moments in life when a door closes so suddenly that it shakes your entire heart. A relationship ends without warning. A job opportunity disappears. A dream you carried for years falls apart in front of your eyes. And in those moments, the pain feels unbearable because you cannot understand why Allah allowed it to happen. You prayed for it. You hoped for it. You believed it was good for you. So why would Allah close that door? The answer is something many people realize only years later. Because Allah was protecting them. Sometimes the greatest mercy of Allah does not come through what He gives you. Sometimes it comes through what He removes from your life. But human beings struggle to understand this because we only see the present moment. We judge situations based on emotions, desires, and temporary feelings. We think that if something makes us happy right now, it must be good for us. But Allah sees what we cannot see. He sees the future. He sees the hidden consequences. He sees the pain that certain paths would eventually bring into your life. You may be crying over a door that Allah closed, while Allah, in His mercy, is saving you from destruction behind that door. Think about how often people become attached to things that later hurt them deeply. Sometimes a person begs Allah for a relationship only to discover later that the same person would have broken their peace, damaged their self-worth, and weakened their connection with Allah. Sometimes someone desperately wants success, fame, or wealth, but Allah knows that blessing would fill their heart with arrogance and distance them from their deen, so Allah closes the door not to punish them, but to protect them. And this is difficult for the human heart to accept because pain blinds us. When something leaves our life, we focus only on the loss. We focus on the disappointment, the loneliness, and the unanswered questions. But believers must remember something powerful. Allah's wisdom is greater than our understanding. A child may cry when a parent stops them from touching fire. The child thinks the parent is being unfair, but the parent sees danger the child cannot understand. In the same way, Allah protects us from things we are unable to fully see. Sometimes Allah removes people because He heard conversations you never heard. Sometimes He blocks opportunities because He sees outcomes you never imagined. Sometimes He delays your plans because your heart is not yet ready for what you are asking for. This is why trust in Allah is so important. True faith is not only worshiping Allah when life feels easy. True faith is trusting Him even when life hurts. It is believing that every decree of Allah contains wisdom, even when that wisdom is hidden from you for years. Many people later look back at the biggest heartbreaks of their lives and say, Alhamdulillah, that door closed. What once felt like devastation becomes the very thing that guided them toward peace, growth, and closeness to Allah. That failed relationship pushed them closer to prayer. That rejection built their strength. That hardship changed their character. That closed door redirected their life towards something far better, but they could not see it at the beginning, and maybe that is where you are right now. Maybe you are standing in front of a closed door, confused and heartbroken. Maybe you keep asking Allah why things did not work out. But never forget this, Allah does not take away something without purpose. If He closed the door, He saw something you did not see. If He removed it, He knew it was not meant to stay. And if He prevented something from happening, perhaps it was because your soul, your future, or your faith was being protected. So stop thinking every closed door is a punishment. Sometimes it is mercy in disguise. Sometimes Allah closes a door because He loves you too much to let you walk through it. And one day, when the pain fades and the wisdom becomes clear, you may look back with tears in your eyes and say, Ya Allah, thank you for not giving me what I thought I needed. Sometimes Allah takes things away from you not because He wants to hurt you, but because He wants to bring you back to Him. And this is one of the hardest truths for the human heart to accept. We become so attached to this dunya that we sometimes forget our real purpose. We become distracted by people, success, money, attention, and comfort. Our hearts slowly become dependent on creation instead of the Creator. We begin searching for peace in things that were never designed to fully satisfy the soul, and then one day Allah removes something, a person leaves, a plan fails, a hardship enters your life. A pain arrives you never expected. Suddenly, the heart that was distracted begins turning back toward Allah again. The prayers become deeper. The du'as become more sincere. The tears in sujud become more real. Why? Because pain has a way of waking up the soul. Many people remember Allah the most during hardship. When life is comfortable, people often become careless. They delay prayer, forget gratitude, and become consumed by worldly goals. But when heartbreak comes, when loneliness enters, when anxiety grows, suddenly the heart starts searching for Allah with sincerity it never had before. This is why some hardships are actually hidden blessings, because they reconnect you with your Creator. Allah knows that sometimes your soul is drifting too far away, so He allows difficulty to bring you back. Not because He hates you, but because He loves you enough to not let your heart completely drown in dunya. There are people today who say, my pain brought me closer to Allah, and they mean it sincerely. The heartbreak that nearly destroyed them became the reason they started praying regularly again. The disappointment they cried over became the reason they opened the Quran after years. The loneliness that hurt them became the reason they discovered the beauty of tahajjud and private conversation with Allah. Sometimes the thing that breaks your heart is the very thing that saves your soul. But during hardship, we often focus only on what was taken from us. We forget to ask what Allah might be giving us through the pain. Maybe Allah removed a person because your heart was becoming too attached to them instead of Him. Maybe Allah delayed your success because success at the wrong time would have destroyed your humility. Maybe Allah allowed hardship because He wanted to purify your sins and elevate your rank. Not every loss is punishment. Sometimes loss is purification. Sometimes loss is redirection. Sometimes loss is Allah calling you back before your heart becomes completely distant. Think about the prophets. Their lives were filled with tests, but every test increased their closeness to Allah. Prophet Yunus called upon Allah from the darkness of the whale. Prophet Ayub turned to Allah through years of suffering. Prophet Yusuf found Allah's plan even inside betrayal and loneliness. Pain became a doorway to deeper faith. And maybe that is what Allah wants from us too, not perfection, but return. Allah does not expect you to never struggle. He does not expect you to never feel weak. But He wants your heart to return to Him through every hardship. He wants you to realize that no human being can heal your soul the way Allah can. People can leave you, money can disappear, plans can fail, but Allah remains. And sometimes Allah removes temporary things from your life so you finally discover the one who never leaves. That is why some of the people closest to Allah are those who have suffered deeply. Pain humbled them. Pain purified them. Pain taught them dependence on Allah alone. And maybe your hardship is doing the same for you right now. Maybe Allah is not destroying you. Maybe He is rebuilding your heart. Maybe He is teaching you that your peace was never meant to depend on people or worldly success. Maybe He is showing you that true comfort exists only in closeness to Him. So when hardship enters your life, do not only ask, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, how is this bringing me closer to Allah? Because sometimes the greatest gift Allah gives you is not the thing you asked for. Sometimes the greatest gift is the version of yourself that finally returns to Him after being lost for so long. One of the most difficult things for the human heart is waiting. We live in a world where people want everything immediately. Immediate answers, immediate success, immediate relief from pain. When we make dua, we often expect the results to come quickly. And when they do not, frustration slowly enters the heart. We begin questioning Allah's timing. We wonder why our prayers seem delayed while others appear to receive blessings so easily. But what many people fail to understand is that delays are not meaningless. Allah never delays something without wisdom. Sometimes what feels like a delay is actually preparation. Sometimes Allah is working on your heart before He gives you what you asked for, because if certain blessings arrive too early, they would harm you instead of benefit you. A person may ask Allah for wealth, but Allah knows their character is not ready for it yet. A person may ask for marriage, but Allah knows they still need emotional growth, patience, or healing before entering that chapter. A person may ask for success, but Allah knows success at the wrong time would fill them with pride and distance them from Him, so Allah delays. Not because He is ignoring you, but because He is protecting you and preparing you. Think about how a seed grows under the ground. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. From the outside, it looks buried and forgotten, but beneath the surface, roots are growing quietly. Strength is developing where nobody can see it, and then one day, what was hidden begins to bloom beautifully. Your life can be the same way. Just because you do not see immediate results does not mean Allah is not working behind the scenes. The believer understands that Allah's timing is perfect even when it hurts. There are things you prayed for years ago that you now realize would have destroyed your peace if Allah had given them to you immediately. There are opportunities you once cried over losing, but today you thank Allah they never happened. At the time you thought the delay was cruelty. Later you realized it was mercy. This is why patience is so powerful in Islam. Patience is not simply waiting while complaining constantly. True patience is trusting Allah while you wait. It is believing that every delay contains wisdom, even if you cannot understand it yet. It is waking up every day with hope instead of despair, knowing that Allah never abandons His servants. Sometimes Allah delays your dua because He loves hearing your voice in prayer. Sometimes He delays your goal because He wants to strengthen your character first. Sometimes He delays relief because your hardship is washing away sins and elevating your rank in ways you cannot imagine. The problem is that we judge our lives too early. We stand in the middle of the story and assume Allah has forgotten us, but Allah sees the complete picture while we only see one painful chapter. Look at the life of Prophet Yusuf. Years of betrayal, separation, loneliness, and hardship came before the palace. If Yusuf had judged Allah's plan while sitting inside the well or prison, he may not have understood the wisdom, but every delay was leading him exactly where Allah wanted him to be, and the same may be true for you. Maybe Allah is delaying something because your future blessing is bigger than you realize. Maybe the waiting is teaching you sabr. Maybe the hardship is building your strength. Maybe Allah is preparing a version of you that is ready to carry the blessing properly when it finally arrives, because some blessings require growth before receiving them. And sometimes Allah cares more about preparing your soul than rushing your comfort. Never think your duas are wasted because the answer did not come quickly. Allah hears every prayer, every tear, every silent cry hidden in your chest. Nothing reaches Him unnoticed. But answers come in different ways. Sometimes Allah says yes immediately. Sometimes He says not yet. And sometimes He gives you something completely different because He knows it is better for you. That is why the believer continues trusting, even during delays. Because faith means knowing that Allah's wisdom is greater than your timeline. So if you are waiting today, do not lose hope. Your delay is not empty, your hardship is not meaningless, and your story is not forgotten by Allah. What is meant for you will arrive at the perfect time. Not too early, not too late, but exactly when your heart, your life, and your soul are ready for it. Anyone can smile when everything is going well. Anyone can feel hopeful when doors are opening, when prayers are being answered quickly, when life feels comfortable and predictable. But the real test of Iman begins when life becomes painful, confusing, and uncertain. What happens to your heart when things do not make sense? What happens when Allah closes the door you begged Him to open? What happens when your du'as seem unanswered, when your plans collapse, when the future feels unclear? This is where true tawakkul, true trust in Allah, begins. Many people say they trust Allah, but real trust is not just words. Real trust appears when you are hurt, disappointed, and emotionally exhausted, yet you still believe Allah's wisdom is greater than your understanding. That is not easy. Because human beings naturally want explanations for everything. We want to understand every delay, every hardship, every painful moment immediately. We want life to make sense according to our own expectations. But Allah never promised that we would understand everything right away. Sometimes Allah asks you to trust Him before He explains the wisdom, and that is one of the hardest parts of faith. Imagine walking through a dark road with only a small light in front of you. You cannot see the entire journey, but you continue walking because you trust the one guiding you. That is what faith feels like sometimes. You may not understand where Allah is taking you, but you continue moving forward because you know Allah never abandons His servants. True trust means believing that even painful moments are part of Allah's mercy. It means believing that Allah can see what you cannot. You may see heartbreak, but Allah sees protection. You may see delay, but Allah sees preparation. You may see loss, but Allah sees purification and growth. This is why believers hold on to Allah even during confusion. They understand that human knowledge is limited, but Allah's wisdom has no limits. There are moments in life where you will have no answers. You may pray for years and still not understand why certain things happened. You may wonder why Allah allowed specific people to leave your life or why certain dreams never came true. But faith means saying, Ya Allah, even if I do not understand your plan, I still trust you. That kind of trust transforms the heart because when you trust Allah deeply, fear begins to lose its power over you. You stop depending completely on outcomes. You stop believing your happiness depends on one person, one opportunity, or one dream. Instead, your heart becomes attached to the one who controls all outcomes, and that changes everything. A believer with true tawakkul understands something powerful. If Allah allows something to leave, then it was never meant to stay forever. And if Allah has written something for you, nothing in this world can stop it from reaching you. People cannot block your rizq. Rejections cannot cancel Allah's plans. Delays cannot erase what Allah has already written. This is why trust brings peace even during hardship, not because life becomes easy immediately, but because your heart learns that Allah is always in control. Look at the story of Prophet Ibrahim. He was thrown into the fire, yet he trusted Allah completely. Look at Hajar running desperately between Safa and Marwa, searching for water for her child. She did not know how Allah would help her, but she trusted Him enough to keep moving, and Allah brought Zamzam from the ground beneath her feet. Sometimes miracles arrive only after trust is tested, and maybe Allah is testing your trust right now. Maybe you are standing in a season where nothing makes sense. Maybe you are carrying pain nobody understands. Maybe your heart is tired from waiting and disappointment. But do not let confusion make you doubt Allah. Allah does not make mistakes. Allah does not forget His servants. Allah does not abandon the believer who turns to Him sincerely. One day, the wisdom behind your hardship may become clear. One day, you may look back and realize that what felt like Allah's silence was actually His protection and guidance all along. Until then, keep trusting. Keep praying, keep believing, because true faith is not needing to understand every step. True faith is walking with Allah even when you cannot yet see the destination. Every believer must remember something important. Your life is bigger than the pain of your current moment. But when hardship enters your life, it becomes very difficult to see beyond it. A heartbreak can make you feel like your future is ruined. A failure can make you think your story is over. A loss can convince you that nothing good will ever happen again. In moments of pain, human beings often judge their entire lives based on one chapter, but Allah never writes stories in a straight line. Sometimes the chapters that hurt the most become the beginning of the greatest blessings. This is why every test is part of a bigger story. When we look at the lives of the prophets, we realize that struggle was never the end of their journey. In fact, some of their greatest hardships were actually preparing them for something greater. Look at Prophet Yusuf. He was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a well, Separated from his father, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned for years. Imagine judging his life while he sat alone inside that prison. From the outside, it would have looked like complete destruction, but Allah was writing a bigger story. The prison was not the end. The betrayal was not the end. The loneliness was not the end. Every painful event was guiding Yusuf toward the place Allah had destined for him. The well eventually led to the palace. The tears eventually led to honor. The hardship eventually revealed wisdom that nobody could see at the beginning. And many times our lives are exactly like that. We panic because we are judging Allah's plan too early. We think the closed door is the final chapter, while Allah is still writing the story. You may be experiencing a painful season right now and believe nothing good can come from it. But perhaps Allah is preparing you through the struggle. Perhaps your test is shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and teaching you lessons comfort could never teach. Some people become wiser through heartbreak, some become stronger through rejection, some become closer to Allah through loneliness, and some discover their true purpose only after everything they relied on falls apart. Pain changes people, but for the believer, pain is not meant to destroy the heart. It is meant to transform it. Think about how diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified through fire. In the same way, Allah sometimes allows hardship to refine the believer. The struggle removes arrogance, attachment to dunya, and dependence on people. It teaches patience, humility, gratitude, and trust in Allah. The problem is that we want the reward without the process. We want strength without struggle. We want growth without discomfort. But some of the most beautiful transformations happen during the darkest moments of life. And this is why you should never underestimate what Allah is doing behind the scenes of your hardship. Just because your situation looks painful today does not mean your future is hopeless. Allah can change your entire life in one moment. One dua can open doors you thought were impossible. One decree from Allah can heal years of pain. One unexpected blessing can erase the sadness of countless nights. That is why believers never lose hope completely. Even during difficulty, they understand that Allah specializes in turning impossible situations into beautiful outcomes. Remember the story of Maryam. She experienced fear, loneliness, and uncertainty, yet Allah honored her in a way the world still remembers today. Remember Prophet Musa standing in front of the sea while danger approached behind him. To everyone else, there seemed to be no escape, but Allah opened a path where nobody imagined one could exist. This is the power of Allah's plan. When humans see endings, Allah creates beginnings. So, if you are hurting today, do not believe your story is over because one chapter became painful. Do not assume Allah has abandoned you because life became difficult. The chapter you are struggling through right now may be the very chapter that changes your future completely. Sometimes the test is the road to the blessing. Sometimes the delay is the road to wisdom. Sometimes the heartbreak is the road to Allah. And one day, you may look back at this difficult season and realize that what you thought was ruining your life was actually building the person you were always meant to become. One of the most comforting truths a believer can hold on to is this: what Allah has written for you will never miss you. No human being can steal it. No rejection can block it. No delay can cancel it. And no obstacle on earth can prevent it from reaching you if Allah has already decreed it for your life. But many people live in constant fear. They fear losing opportunities. They fear being left behind. They fear that someone else will take what was meant for them. This fear creates anxiety, jealousy, and exhaustion because the heart becomes attached to controlling outcomes instead of trusting Allah. Yet Islam teaches us something incredibly powerful. Your rizq, your blessings, your future, and every decree written for you were already known by Allah long before you were born. What is meant for you cannot be taken away by another person, and what was never meant for you could never have stayed, no matter how hard you tried to hold on to it. This understanding brings peace to the believer's heart because once you truly trust Allah's decree, you stop living in desperation. You stop chasing people who clearly are not meant for you. You stop destroying yourself over closed doors. You stop comparing your timeline to everyone else around you. You realize that Allah's plan for your life is unique. Sometimes people become heartbroken because an opportunity disappears. They think, I lost my only chance. But if Allah wrote something for you, it does not matter how impossible the situation looks. Allah can bring it to you from places you never imagined. A job can appear unexpectedly. A door can open suddenly. A prayer can be answered when all hope seemed gone. Allah is capable of changing your situation in a single moment. Look at the story of Prophet Musa. As a baby, he was placed into a river by his mother out of fear. Yet the very palace that wanted him dead became the place where he was raised safely. Why? Because what Allah decrees cannot be stopped by human plans. Look at Prophet Yusuf. His brothers tried to remove him from their lives completely. They threw him into a well thinking his story would end there. But they could not stop Allah's decree. The same Yusuf they tried to destroy eventually became honored and elevated. When Allah writes something for you, no force in creation can erase it. This is why believers place their trust in Allah instead of people. People change, situations change, the world changes constantly, but Allah's decree never fails. And understanding this removes a huge burden from the heart. Many people suffer because they believe they must control everything. They panic over every uncertainty. They constantly worry about the future. But the believer knows that the future already belongs to Allah. Your responsibility is not to control every outcome. Your responsibility is to trust Allah, make effort, and continue walking toward Him sincerely. The rest is in Allah's hands. This does not mean life will always be easy. Sometimes what Allah has written for you will arrive after patience, hardship, and growth. Sometimes the blessing takes time because Allah is preparing your heart first. But delay does not mean denial. If Allah intends good for you, nothing can prevent it from reaching your life at the perfect moment. And if something leaves your life despite all your efforts, then perhaps it was never truly written for you in the first place. That realization can save your heart from endless grief. How many people destroy themselves emotionally trying to hold on to things Allah already removed? How many people remain trapped in sadness because they cannot accept that certain chapters ended for a reason? But faith teaches surrender, not surrender to hopelessness, surrender to Allah's wisdom. It teaches you to say, Ya Allah, if this is meant for me, no one can take it away. And if it is not meant for me, then protect my heart from chasing it. That is real peace, because once your heart understands that Allah controls all provision, all opportunities, and all destinies, fear begins to fade. You stop worshiping outcomes. You stop believing your life depends on one person or one success. Instead, you trust the one who owns every door in existence. And when Allah opens a door for you, nobody can close it. Not jealousy, not rejection, not failure, not even your own fears. Because what Allah has written for you will always find its way to you, exactly at the time your soul needs it most.